But what we're going to do is we'll show you how to get there. So if we open up the App Store and we search for Swift Playgrounds, should come up. You can see we have a story about Everyone Can Code, which is kind of handy. We also have a Swift Playgrounds over here on the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download that. As you can see, I've already got it. So when I open it up, we'll see that we have a bunch of playgrounds here. Now, this is tied to my iCloud account, so I have a few playgrounds already pre-populated here. You can see down at the bottom here, we have a more playground section. And if we hit the See All button, it'll bring up a whole panel of other playgrounds that we've the option to download and install. Primarily what we're going to be working with today is Learn to Code 1. So we're going to get that just to prepare ourselves. So wait for that to download. You can see the progress bar there. What we'll do is we'll hit the home button and get back to the main screen. The material that we're going to work off of for these first few lessons anyway is in the bookstore. So you have the Books application on your iPad. So we're going to tap Books. And we'll go right to the bookstore on the tab bar at the bottom. And we'll search for, if we search for Everyone Can Code, we'll see that we have a couple in my library already. But if I hit search, it'll pull them back from the bookstore as well. What we're going to work from is Everyone Can Code puzzles to start with. So if you haven't downloaded this already, you'll see instead of a read button there, you'll see a get button. Since this material is free, we'll hit read. And this is some material prepared by Apple already to help you get introduced to coding in a pretty gentle way. It's not Scratch or it's not block-based programming. This is actual text-based programming that when you start making real apps that we'll hopefully do in a couple weeks' time, you'll be using the same programming language that we start with here, which is what I love about this particular set of material. So we can go into the introduction. You can read through this on your own. You don't have to follow along with me on the videos. This is something you could definitely do in your spare time, and you may have plenty of it over the next couple weeks. It'll introduce you to code, to our kind of cute characters Hopper and Bite here. It'll tell us in advance what we're going to learn and a few different techniques for getting that information to stick. And it'll let us know about, okay, well, this is what we need to do to get started. So we've already gone and downloaded Swift Playgrounds. That hopefully will be downloaded in the background for you by now. And we have a few different challenges. We have the Learn to Code material. We have some starting points. Once we get fluent enough with our code, we can jump into these starting points and start creating our own things, a little bit more from scratch. And then we'll play with some other playgrounds that I've developed for the Code Hub over the last few years. There's also, if you feel like at a certain point coding maybe isn't your thing, and I encourage you to stick with it. It's hard. This stuff isn't easy. You'll definitely struggle at times, but one of my favorite things about programming personally is that struggle and then the little epiphanies that you get along the way where you go, oh, thank God, all that stress, pulling my hair out, trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. It's all worth it in the end, I swear. But if you're not, and you say, you know what, actually, I just want to create with my iPad, there's a really great set of material on the bookstore under the Everyone Can Create banner. That's well worth grabbing and taking a look at as well. We also talk about Swift coding clubs a little bit, but now we're going to jump into today. What we're going to do is jump right into commands and start us off with some coding. We can dive through here, read about some of our key vocabulary. We're going to learn a little bit about commands and what it is that they are and how we interact with the computer or the iPad in this case. And it gives us some activities to do that are offline as well. So you can go and record yourself on video giving instructions, maybe hide something around the house, around the yard, and then hand it over to your sibling or your parents and see if they're able to follow the directions. Because essentially, all commands are directions for coding and for the machine to process. What we're going to do in these sessions, though, is jump right in and try to do as much coding as possible. As much fun as it might be to follow me around the yard trying to give video directions to my kids. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that Learn to Code 1 playground. And we're going to go through the introduction and then try our first lesson of issuing commands. So let's jump out of books and open up Playgrounds. You can see that my Learn to Code 1 has downloaded, so I'll tap on it. And now we can see each one of these playgrounds starts off, and each chapter starts off with a little set of pages that explain to you a little bit about the concepts that you're going to be learning. So in this case, we're learning about commands. We've got 8 pages here. It'll tell us about how commands are a bit like a recipe, or maybe directions to build something. And it tries to bring it into your world a little bit by creating some analogies here for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this character here, Byte, to move forward. We have a certain set of commands that Byte understands that we'll be able to use to get Byte moving on the screen. We also have another command called collect gem. So those are our 2 commands that we can use for Byte. And you can see how the words look kind of mashed together. We call this camel case. The computers won't handle spaces very well. So what we need to do is when we're giving commands, we tend to mash a lot of these words together. We'll see that as we kind of go over the code for the next few days. So now that I've gone through the instructional piece, it tells me I can start coding. So if I tap the Start Coding button, I'll see my first chance to actually go run some code. So I have here my code over here on the left side. And over here on the right side, I just have a black screen at the moment because it's loading. So we'll take the time while it's loading to read through this. So our goal here is basically to learn how to use Swift commands to tell Byte how to move and collect a gem. It looks a little bit Minecrafty. We can tap on the screen here to the right and move it around a little bit. And this is useful for being able to count how many spaces we need to get Byte to move to collect that gem. So based on the instructions, we have 2 commands to use: move forward and collect gems. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off. You can see down here, down at the very bottom of the screen, we have 2 commands pre-populated for us. And this little autocomplete bar will often help us as we're using Swift Playgrounds and give us hints about what kind of commands that we can use in a given situation. So here we're going to tap move forward because we'd like Byte to move forward at least once, probably again, and then probably a 3rd time. Now if I really want to start typing, I can hit the arrow down on the lower right hand corner and I can start typing. Now you can see that it starts to narrow down my options in the autocomplete bar. So I make sure I capitalize gem. And then to add the parentheses, because it's very important to add parentheses at the end. This is something that the computer uses to say, okay, this is a function that I'm actually going to try to call. It's some code that I want to run. You're going to tap on the J and hold and then drag down to the right. It'll actually try to be helpful and give me both parentheses. So I'll tap on the keyboard down button in the way right hand bottom corner. So I have my code written. Let's try running this. Let's tap the Run My Code button. See what happens. All right, not bad, not bad. Hopefully everybody's at this stage. We can see here we get a little congratulations message from the playground saying that we wrote our first lines of Swift code. And now we want to move on to the next page. So our next page is adding a new command. So we have the two right now. We have move forward and we have collect gem. That's great so long as our path is straight. But now in this case, we've got a path where we have to turn. So now we have an additional command called turn left. So someone has written this code to enable us to turn left. So I want to tap here to enter the code. Our goal here is, again, it tells us at the top, is to combine move and turn commands to collect the gem. So let's see, I want to probably move forward once, move forward twice, and then I want to turn left, move forward again, and then move forward again. And now at this stage, when we're in a classroom setting, I'll often tell kids, because we have iPads and we can actually get up out of our chairs and move around, it helps to walk this stuff out, especially when you're trying to move a certain number of steps and to turn left and turn right. It's very useful to be able to get up and actually feel the movement yourself. So let's try running my code. Whoa, what did I do wrong? So you can see, Byte isn't too happy because what am I missing? In the future, when I get better at Twitch, we'll be able to get comments and feedback live as we're doing this. So let's try running that again. So when I hit run my code, he won't start from the same spot. Byte will actually jump back to the beginning. So it's useful to know when you do make a mistake, and everyone's going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes when we're programming. That you're going to start back at that gray arrow when you restart your code. So don't start counting again from the point where you are, and don't assume that, oh, I can just collect gem because I'm under it now. You're going to want to make sure that you start back at the beginning. All right, so we've done a really good job. We've written some more complex code. This is looking pretty good. We'll move on to one more section. So if you happen to dismiss your good job note, if you look at the very top of the screen, next to adding a new command, there are arrows on either side of it. If we tap the arrow to the right, we're going to go to our next lesson, which is toggling a switch. So now we have another command and we have another item on the board here. This gray thing here is a switch. And right now, based on the description on the left-hand side, it's off. So we want to get to the switch, and if we call this toggle switch command, if it's off, it'll turn it on, and if it's on, it'll turn it off. So our goal for this particular puzzle is to collect the gem and then toggle the switch. So let's try it out. So we're going to move forward twice. We're going to turn left. We're going to move forward once. That puts us right on the gem. So we're going to collect the gem. We're still facing this way. We're going to move forward one more time and then turn left. Now we're at this block with the rock on it. So we're going to move forward once and then move forward again, and we're on the switch. Now, if you ever get stuck in a lot of these playgrounds, especially the ones developed by Apple, they have these hints at the bottom. You can see in the lower right-hand corner, just above where we pulled up the keyboard before, there's a hint button. So if we tap the hint button, it'll give us a little hint about how to complete this puzzle. In some cases, the hints are useful. In other cases, they just kind of repeat the instructions over on the left-hand side. So we'll close the hint. Another nice feature of Playgrounds is if you tap on this middle bar between your code and the puzzle, board, you can drag over to the left and make it full screen so maybe you can see the output of your program a little bit better. So here, let's hit run my code. Not bad. So not bad. We've gone through 3 different lessons in the playground. We've performed a few different functions. We've used the move command, move forward command, collect gem command, toggle switch, and turn left. What we'll do tomorrow is we'll build a little bit on that, and we'll start writing our own functions, start getting a little bit more sophisticated, and still working through our everyone can code puzzles material. If you want, you can obviously go ahead and do all of this stuff without me, and then come back and just check and make sure you're doing things right. But that's it. The plan is to keep doing these lessons with the iPads to start with. We'll run through a lot of the Apple playgrounds. We'll run through some of my own with Turtle Graphics. We'll run through another one that does Text Adventures, which is my personal favorite. And then maybe we'll get into a little bit of app development with Swift down the line. We'll try to do this every day at around 1 o'clock Irish time during the week anyway, to keep some kind of semblance of normalcy. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye for now.